So with the new Gouda Gouda event, what are we at? Gouda Gouda 5? DW is like, you know what? It must be a real struggle not having Space Ishtar. So let's quite literally just give you baby Space Ishtar in this new mysterious Ranmaru X character, or I guess it's R. So now we have an MHX, an MHXX, we have an MHXA, we have an MHXR, and now we also have an MHXL. So you know what? Go ahead and just figure out all of those. And just wait until we complete the entire alphabet with MHX characters. But regardless, she is a very, very good character. And I do mean she is quite literally just a baby Space Ishtar. She pretty much has everything that Space Ishtar has, just a little bit worse. But that doesn't mean she's bad. I mean, when you're a worse version of one of the best servants in the game, then I think you're going down the right path to success. But before we begin, if you have not already, what are you doing? Your boy is on this daily FGO grind. And all he asks for in return is a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel. The ultimate goal is to make it to 100k, and then I guess I'll just disappear from the planet. I don't know, my mission will just be complete and I'll just disappear or something, but help your boy out with that. You can also click that join button if you want extra content. I actually just did upload a video for members only where I was going through the Gouda Gouda 5 challenge quest, so you can check that out if you become a channel member. If you're absolutely starving for content, you can go to my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below, where I stream every weekday, most every weekday I'll say, because you have days like yesterday where I was just not having it. I was like, bro, I just need a day for me, because I just had to type like 50 different papers for my different college classes. Other college kids know what I'm talking about, bro. You just have those days where you're just like, man, I just want to eat my ramen noodles in peace. But that's also down in the description down below if you're interested. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this, because let's go ahead and talk about this new pretty good free-to-play servant. So looking at her hits, she's packing 0.45% NP generation, 6% star gen, and then a pretty decent deck of one quick card with 4 hits that I don't know why you'd be clicking. I don't know what you think you're doing clicking that quick card, but you're not going to accomplish anything. What you should be focused on are those arts cards, because understandably she is an arts looping servant, so you do want to get those. Unfortunately, her NP gain is a little low, and I would have liked to see her get an extra hit on those arts cards to kind of just help out her NP gain a little bit, because usually when the NP gain is about as low as it is, usually they'll tack on an extra hit. And spoiler alert, she doesn't have any like big NP gain skill to really help out with any of this to kind of make them better. So for one, you're going to be very reliant on getting crits with these arts cards, but less so than other arts cards. You're not going to be refunding as much back. Now, because of how double Castoria works, you should still be fine as long as you have a double Castoria working for you. Or even if you don't, if you can sub in someone like Paracelsus or Asclepius, you should be absolutely fine. But as far as base statistics go, I mean, you are just basically looking at a slightly worse Space Ishtar, as the most important thing really for art servants is their NP gain stat. And Space Ishtar is at like 0.60 something if I'm recalling correctly, so she's just a little bit worse in that avenue. But again, with double Castoria and how godly she is, you probably should still be able to get the job done. A bit hard to say right now because a lot of people are farming with event damage bonus, and that's massively going to help out how good the servant looks when it comes to farming. So I would just wait for like the next event where she won't have event damage bonus, and you know, you're not farming casters and low level enemies to see how well she does. But let's go ahead and move into her skills. So skill 1 is actually pretty solid. It's a targetable big boy star weight and 50% crit damage for 1 turn, and it removes their debuff. So you can either use this on Ranmaru herself if you want to like really guarantee that you're going to be getting some of those arts crits. You can go ahead and slap this on her and she'll get those crits and do some pretty good damage while doing it, and she'll remove any debuffs that she does have. Or you can have her be a little bit of a support type servant. Maybe you've got a lot of stars on the field, and maybe you just don't want one of your Castorias to steal all of them, and maybe you want, I don't know, your other secondary DPS servant if you're bringing her to a challenge quest or something. Maybe you brought Space Ishtar on your team for whatever reason. You're like, you know what? Space Ishtar needs to get those crits. The fact that it's targetable just gives it a little bit more utility, when in all reality, you're probably just going to be using this on her. But there's no immediate, like, insane wombo combo that you can really think of right now that you really use this with. It's just kind of like a good generic good effect on a skill. It's just nice that she can remove some of these debuffs and, you know, give them a little bit of crit damage for that 1 turn. Also, keep in mind that it's on a 4-turn cooldown, so even though the effects only last for 1 turn, you should be getting this back pretty frequently. Now, moving on to her second skill, this is a 40% chance to charm all enemies for 1 turn, which is obviously very good. That's a 40% chance to basically stun or stop the entire enemy party for that turn. And then she's also reducing their defense by 20% for 3 turns and dropping 10 stars. Now, that reduction of defense by 20% you're really going to be using on wave 3 if you're using her for farming. And that actually lets her damage look pretty good. Even without the 20% defense though, she's in like the 26-28k range, which is still pretty good. Because she's a free NP5, she's generally competing with Space Ishtar at NP1. Especially when we get to wave 3 where she has this defensive down that she could slap on there to give her that little bit of extra damage. It's just, again, the thing that I'm probably going to repeat is that Ranmaru just has a bit less NP gain and has a smaller battery than Space Ishtar, and that's why I call her Baby Space Ishtar. But the 10 stars is also pretty nice because you'll also notice, I guess we'll just skip over to skill 3, that she has another skill that drops another 10 stars over here. So she's an art servant that can kind of provide herself a little bit of stars. Obviously, we'll talk about something that's a little nuts on her NP when we get to that. But she's clearly designed to kind of be small Space Ishtar that also has a little bit of a crit niche. At the very least, her 30% arts buff that she gets for 3 turns is guaranteed, where Space Ishtar's is not. It has an 80% chance to pop. So you can at least give her those points in that department, but then she only has a 20% battery, which not going to complain that she has a battery at all, because having a battery is absolutely godly. And she is a free-to-play servant. I'm just happy that they gave her any battery at all whatsoever, but it's still only a 20% battery. And if you're trying to compare her to the other like AoE arts looping servants, I mean, you have Kama and you have Space Ishtar and they have 50% battery. So in a vacuum by herself, if you don't have the other two, she's going to look really good because she has the arts buff, she has the NP gauge, she can function as a crit servant as well, because as an art servant, if you guys didn't know, they don't have really any value for genning stars, because their value for genning stars is actually just 0. Inherently, the arts cards can't do it. So the fact that she can drop 20 stars through 2 skills and has a really good crit skill, I would say, even though it's only on a 1 turn, but it is on a low cooldown, it kind of balances itself out. It does give her a little bit of value in that, especially when you combine it with her NP, which pierces defense, which I love to see because that's going to be very good in harder content, especially since she's a free-to-play servant. If you don't have one of the like absolutely godly piercing defense type servants that are like all gold rarity, this will be a very good help for your box, especially because she's a free NP5 as well. But then the big kind of crazy thing that she does is on her overcharge, she's buffing her star gen stat by at least 100% and up to 300% depending on her overcharge. Now, the reason that 100% is really significant is the same reason that people think Caskill is really good. Because since the arts cards have a star gen value of 0, getting a 100% buff actually means that for every hit the arts card has, it's guaranteed to drop at least 1 star. And then this isn't even taking into account her buster or her quick cards, which now makes her quick card pretty good. If you want to have her quick card follow her NP, it will drop a pretty decent amount of stars, and then you can collect all of those and pop off. So overall, do I think she's a broken free-to-play servant? Not particularly. Like, if I'm thinking in terms of a tier list, she's probably going to go in like high A tier right now, just because she is a pretty solid AoE looping servant for every box at free NP5. And considering that her damage kind of rivals NP1 Space Ishtar, she should do absolutely fine. It's just, the one issue I really have is that she has pretty low NP gain, and I feel like people are going to really be gassing up her damage because they're going to see that like, oh my goodness, she's at like 31k, that's insane, but you got to remember, that's only for wave 3 when she has the arts buff and the defense down on all of the enemies as well. And again, like I was saying earlier, her damage isn't absolutely atrocious when she doesn't have the defensive down, it's just not quite as good. It's a bit more, I would say, average. But she's definitely going to be a very, very solid servant. Like, she's definitely worth going through the grind of the event to get. Like, she's going to be very helpful for people's boxes, especially if you don't have a lot of like the top tier looping servants at your disposal. She's going to be very, very good for you. And maybe I'll change my tune on it. Maybe after using her for just a little bit more, maybe I'll slap her up in that S tier status. But I just need some time to kind of look at her, because this is one of those servants that's going to be really hard to tell how good she's actually going to be. Like, we know that she's going to be in like at least high A tier, potentially like low to mid S tier. It's just kind of like we need some time to kind of see exactly where she's going to place. So be expecting her spot on a future tier list, I don't know, sometime in the near future, after maybe just like a week or two of playing around with her, just getting some numbers, getting some data, doing some research on this servant. But she's definitely very, very good. She's not a flop free-to-play servant. It's not like you're getting a Ryoma where you're probably never going to pick up that servant and they're very, very niche in what they do. You're definitely going to use this servant, especially, again, if you don't have any of the top tier arts looping servants, because, again, for like the second time, She's literally just a baby version of Space Ishtar, and being a baby version of one of the best servants in the game is not bad. If you're copying one of the best servants in the game right now, you're probably doing something right. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are your guys' thoughts on mysterious heroine Ranmaru? Do you think we're going to be getting more MHX, or I don't know, just whatever we're going to call these characters, like MHX ripoffs? I don't know. Personally, I would just like to see them fill out the entire alphabet at this point. Who are the other servants going to be? I have absolutely no idea. But leave all those thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the Twitch. Consider clicking that join button. And with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. And I'm outie 5 billion. Peace late, guys.